Union Home Minister Amit Shah today inaugurated an important anti-terror conference in New Delhi where intelligence and investigation agencies are discussing current and emerging threats to India's national security, including funding and violent activities of pro-Khalistani extremists operating from foreign soil. The conference has been called by the National Investigation Agency, the country's premier anti-terror agency, in the wake of the recent Khalistani and terror activities both in India and abroad, especially in Canada. The closed-door two-day event is being attended by all federal intelligence agencies, the Research and Analysis Wing, the Intelligence Bureau, the Enforcement Directorate, the Central Bureau of Investigation, the National Technical Research Organization and others. Also in attendance are the anti-terrorist squads of state police forces from across the country and other concerned forces under the Home Ministry. Ahead of the conference, Home Minister Amit Shah said, the Modi government is firmly committed to rooting out terrorism from the country. I will inaugurate the third anti-terror conference hosted by NIA in New Delhi and illustrate Modi ji's vision behind the policy of zero tolerance for terrorism adopted by our nation. Counter-terrorism issues from financing to interstate and foreign links of gangsters with banned terror outfits like multiple Khalistani entities are among the issues being discussed. Sources say besides pro-Khalistani extremists, Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, Chinese funding of fintech companies, smuggling of drugs via maritime route, cyber crimes, use of digital currencies by terrorists and northeast insurgency and left-wing extremism are also on the agenda. The timing of the meeting is significant as the issue of Canada sheltering many Khalistani extremists and gangsters has led to a major diplomatic standoff between New Delhi and Ottawa. The NIA is currently investigating over half a dozen cases related to the nexus between Khalistani elements and gangsters and about 24 wanted persons who are operating from Canadian soil, carrying out attacks on the Indian High Commission and consulates, threatening the Hindu community in that country and organizing terror attacks and targeted killings in India. Dismantling this Khalistani network is going to be a key topic during the conference. That's what an officer was quoted as saying. Remember, India has provided concrete evidence in the form of multiple dossiers and sought action by the Canadian authorities against these pro-Khalistan forces that have been allowed to operate freely and with impunity from Canadian soil for years and decades now. But Canada has brazenly looked the other way every time India has raised concern over anti-India activities in that country. In fact, Ottawa has turned down every single extradition request made by India over the years, at last count at least 25. In fact, the Justin Trudeau government has been known to pander to this constituency of Khalistani and anti-India elements for the sake of cynical vote bank politics. A well-known Khalistani sympathizer, Jagmeet Singh, and his party even support Trudeau's minority government. And adding insult to injury, Trudeau decided to accuse India of foreign interference. Needless to say, India is deeply upset and with good reason and has made it clear that its crackdown on these anti-India elements will continue unabated. Let's go back to our guests for more on this. Ambassador Sajjan Har, while a whole range of issues, including, of course, Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, and the challenge that even China poses will be discussed at this two-day conference. Do you believe that coming as it does in the backdrop of the anti-India activities by Khalistani elements, especially those that have been reported from Canada, this particular conference assumes a lot of significance. How would you see it?
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I think this is sending out a very strong message, a very clear message, a very unambiguous message that India is very serious as far as stamping out Khalistani terrorism is concerned. And I think we have walked the talk. We are not sort of, just speaking about it, but, we have taken action. NIA has gone into full throttle as far as action against, the linkages of the Khalistani terrorists in India are concerned. So definitely it is a message to this issue that is currently in front of us with Canada. But also, I would imagine, as far as UK is concerned, Australia is concerned, New Zealand and the United States, because that is also, we have seen, these are the 4 or 5 countries where we have seen that the Khalistani extremism and organized crime committed by them has come to the fore. Now, there have been some reports in the media. I have seen that today evening there have been about 6 or 8 of these Khalistani terrorists who have been arrested in Canada with a huge cache of arms. We need to still, I guess, confirm and verify these reports. But if it is as an instance of what India has been pushing back against Canada, I would say it is a welcome development. But this is only the first step, because Canada and the other governments need to take strong measures against such elements, because India has Neha made it out very clearly, brought it out very clearly, that these elements, they are might be supported by, they are being supported. Let me not use this word might. They are being supported by the ISI. My own experience in different countries, whether it is in Brussels, as far as the European Union is concerned, sending out representatives there, or even in the United States, ISI has been extremely active in funding these terrorists, and also in terms of these think tanks who are working on these issues of Khalistan, Kashmir. Kashmir has gone a little on the back burner after the August 5, 2019 decision by India to abrogate Article 370. But definitely what we've been bringing to the attention of the governments is that it is not only against India, it is not only India that suffers, but this support or looking the other side as far as organized crime is concerned is particularly harmful to those countries. So yes, to respond to your question, definitely this is sending out a message, a strong message, a clear message, which these countries should definitely take note of, cognizance of, and take action for their own security, for their own, for the peace and stability in their own country, rather than sort of looking only at the benefits that India will be able to get out of this.
I couldn't
Neha.
agree more with you, Ambassador Sajanhar. Let me go across to Ambassador Kaushik at this point. Sir, what do you make of this conference that's taking place here in the national capital? Do you also believe that this sends out a strong message to a country like Canada, which has over the years ignored every piece of evidence that India has shared with regard to Khalistani activity taking place on Canadian soil?
Yeah, this is the most appropriate step that the Home Ministry has taken. It was overdue, in fact, in certain cases. And highlighting the heinous crime that they are committing all over India in the name of one thing or the other should be adequately publicized. In fact, I would go a little step further and say the publicity part of India in terms of showing where exactly we are and how exactly we are running everything is lacking to a certain extent. Now, of course, it has caught up a great deal, and this has done some good service to the Indian cause. Other thing being that the intelligence apparatus, which is prevalent either in Canada or in the US, should be woken up, and they should be told that you may also highlight and publicize what exactly is happening in India by the terrorists. What kind of crimes are being perpetrated in this nation? Why are they not seized of that matter in order to enliven the democratic value, the cultural value, and the general interest of the nation? I think if those points are carried a little too far and a little too aggressively, if you wish to put it that way, it might serve some good purpose for us. Otherwise, the kind of crime that is taking place by the terrorists, sometimes you may be surprised to know that even in the United States, the people are not well informed about the kind of terrorist activity that's prevalent in India. Not all of them. Somehow the adequate publicity has to reach and convince the people there and elsewhere what exactly has been happening and what exactly is being done by these terrorists. I know their intelligence apparatus must be aware of all the things, but somehow there is not much of a space in publicity in those countries. And it is high time that we publicize it. It's high time we carry it forward. Of course, as far as the internal situation is concerned, India has to be fiercely aware of the consequences that it has in its fallout effect in the country. Therefore, stern action, stern policies. Every strong measure should be taken up in order to suppress any such activities here.
Okay.
And I would say to that extent that even the opposition should be in a position to cooperate wherever necessary in such matters. They need not always oppose everything that the government does. They can
No,
do some.
I think there's by and large been unanimity among political parties in India on this issue vis-a-vis Canada and the Khalistani threat. And it's interesting, you're saying if the Canadian government is not listening to you, maybe it's time to make the people of Canada aware of exactly what's been going on. Yashovardhan Azad, let me ask you this question. Yes, the NIA has carried out raids at multiple locations targeting Khalistani extremists and terrorists in recent times. Not just in Punjab, but across the country, they have seized their assets. Some arrests have been made as well. But the larger question still remains, how do you deal with a country that is refusing to cooperate with you? You've shared with them dossier after dossier detailing, the criminal and terrorist activities of a lot of their citizens, who are wanted in India, even for crimes such as targeted killings. And yet the Canadian government continues to look the other way. How do you deal with a country like that? I mean, this is not even Pakistan you're talking about.
Yeah, let me deal first with the NIA meeting because we spent some time over this and that was the focus of the discussion earlier. And now, the NIA meeting is a routine meeting. It's a third anti-terror meeting, third year. And therefore, the new subjects which have been added, of course, the recent arrests of the scribes, and the Khalistani terrorism. So let me also caution that we should not overplay this. I mean, India is doing very well on the security front. It is an emerging, powerful nation. It has got good bilateral relations now with America, excellent relations. It's doing very well with Russia. And yes, there is some kind of, a problem with Canada, but that does not mean that we overplay the Khalistani terrorism has made no impact in Punjab, nothing at all. There are some criminal activities which are being financed and which has been orchestrated from Canada. That's about all. Yes, the most important part is what should we do about the Khalistani activities which are taking place in these foreign countries. First of all, these Khalistanis are going as refugees, trying to seek asylum and painting a picture that something is happening in Punjab, which is, affecting the Sikhs deeply. So in that respect, I support the previous speaker's stand that yes, we need to tell the people more also, besides sharing only our mountains of dossiers with the Canadian government and the other governments. Now, in the case of these terrorists who have gone there, and these are also petty terrorists. Let me tell you that when there was a visit facilitated by the ISI or the RCMP, because Niger was already obviously an asset of the Canadian Security and Intelligence Services, when he traveled to Pakistan and when he came back, nothing really happened. Nothing happened in Punjab. What is happening is Punjab is the usual state-backed, flying of the drones, coming with drugs and some arms and ammunition. It has made no impact in Punjab. There's just a few crimes here and there. As far as the sending of the terrorists back to India is concerned, yes, if the red corner notice has been issued by the Interpol, I mean, you've done your bit. What else can you do? What you can certainly do is, if the Canada is raising this issue with United States, you should also raise this issue with all these 5 countries and tell them what exactly has been the problem with Canada. Let me also tell you that Canada has a history of somehow collecting all these refugees because Sri Lanka was most agitated with the support LTTE was getting in terms of funding and operations from Canada. And in fact, recently, Sri Lanka supported India very strongly on this particular issue, quoting the LTTE incident. So I would make 2 points here. Number one, we should actively pursue with our diplomacy with these countries, make them aware, the people also, what exactly is happening from their soil, because secessionism should not be allowed in the name of free speech. And we should carry on that regardless of, yeah, because no ties have really been impacted with this except with Canada. And secondly, we should not overplay this terrorism hand. India is a strong nation. India is doing very well by way of statistics. So we should not, prove to the world that something so serious is happening in India that, the intelligence agencies and all are catching terrorists over here. No, these are and we
Yeah.
are pursuing in a proper manner.
No, you're quite right. Fact of the matter is the Khalistan movement is all but dead in India. The only country that's keeping it alive is Canada. What I also find very interesting, Mr. Azad, is you saying that Niger was most certainly a Canadian intelligence asset, because so far this has only been speculated on. It's only when Niger's son gave an interview to a Canadian media outlet recently saying his father was meeting with intelligence officers on a weekly basis that many began to ask this question: was he indeed a Canadian intelligence asset? You seem to be convinced that he was. Of course, no answers forthcoming from Canada.